I'm 60 years old, divorced for over 15 years, and have been living alone for a long time. My house is my sanctuary, a place where I can relax, enjoy my own company, and keep the things that make me happy. Over the years, I've gotten used to being by myself, and I've created a life that's comfortable. But that day, that was different. I was just planning to buy a coffee maker, something simple. I didn't expect anything to happen that would shake up my routine. But of course, life has a way of throwing surprises your way when you least expect them. I remember opening the door to let Jake in, the young man who had offered to help me with the coffee maker, and that's when everything began to change. Jake was 23, full of energy, excitement, and warmth. He stepped into my house with the coffee maker in hand, and I could see his eyes scanning the room, taking in every detail. It was then that I realized something. I had left some very personal items on the couch, things I usually kept hidden from view, but on this day they were just sitting there, out in the open. To be honest, I hadn't even noticed. They had become part of the background in my mind. But when Jake's eyes landed on them, I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. He smiled lightly, his eyes twinkling with curiosity as he moved towards the living room. "You live alone, don't you?" he asked, his tone playful. I could feel my face turning bright red. I tried to brush it off, but the truth was I was caught off guard. "How do you handle a moment like that?" "Please, let's pretend you didn't see any of that," I said, my voice shaking a bit. But Jake just looked at me and smiled. "Whatever you say, but you know, these things aren't exactly easy to ignore," he said. His words lingered, and I could hear the playful hint in his voice. "They kind of demand attention, just like you do." And that's when it hit me. There was something more in the air than just embarrassment. There was a connection, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Jake was trying to make me feel at ease, but the way he spoke, the way he looked at me, made me realize that things were about to change. We spent a few more minutes chatting. Jake told me it was completely normal to have these kinds of things when you're living alone. And somehow his words felt comforting. "We all have our needs," he said with a smile. "But sometimes this kind of stuff just isn't enough, is it?" His words lingered, and for a moment it was like he was speaking directly to me. There was a depth in his voice that made me pause. We locked eyes for a second, and it felt like something was shifting between us. It wasn't just the coffee maker anymore. I realized I was feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time, something I couldn't quite put my finger on, but it was there, undeniable. "Jake," I said, my voice softening, "please don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories like this. I know you won't be able to resist leaving a comment after hearing this one. Let's chat below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts." His smile grew, and I could see that he was just as intrigued as I was. "It's completely natural," he said, his tone genuine, "but sometimes there's a different kind of need, one that words can't quite describe." There was a certain electricity between us now. The silence that followed felt thick with anticipation. I was still processing everything, but I felt a strange warmth growing inside me. Jake had become more than just the guy helping me with a coffee maker. There was something magnetic about him, something that made it hard to pull away. Before I knew it, I found myself excusing myself to change into something more comfortable. "I've been in these jeans and this shirt all day," I said. "They're suffocating me. I'm going to go change. Make yourself at home." As I slipped upstairs, I could feel Jake's gaze on me. When I came back down, dressed in a sleek, figure-hugging dress, I noticed his eyes on me again. This time, though, it wasn't out of curiosity. It was something else. I approached him, trying to keep my composure, but I couldn't ignore the tension building between us. "Jake," I asked playfully, "are you single?" Got a girlfriend, or do you spend your nights alone?" He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but I could see the excitement in his eyes. I sat down next to him, our knees almost touching. "Did you finish setting up the coffee maker?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. "Let's make some coffee and you can tell me all about yourself." Jake seemed flustered, but he didn't break eye contact. "How old are you?" he asked, his voice soft. "I thought you were in your 50s. I raised an eyebrow, amused. "Do you prefer 50-year-olds?" I teased, but inside I was flattered. He thought I was younger. It felt good. "No, that's not what I meant," he said quickly, his face reddening. "You just look so young and beautiful." His words hit me in a way I wasn't expecting. "Do you have a girlfriend?" I asked softly, trying to gauge his feelings. Jake looked at me, his eyes full of emotion. "I'm alone," he said simply, but I could tell that he wasn't happy about it. We stared at each other, and I could feel the intensity of the moment. I knew something was changing. Something deep inside me was telling me to act. I stood up and motioned for him to follow me. "Jake, come with me," I said, my voice softer now but full of intention. "Let's not waste any more time." As we entered the bedroom, I could feel the air around us thickening. Jake hesitated at the door, his shoulders tense, but his eyes locked onto mine. I walked over to him, my movements slow and deliberate. "Are you ready?" I asked, my voice calm. I stepped closer, letting my touch reassure him. The moment Jake's hands found my waist, everything changed. His kiss was full of innocence and curiosity. I pulled back slowly, letting the moment build. I sank onto the bed, waiting for him to join me. When he finally did, we lay together in silence, our hearts beating in sync. I could feel the tension in him, but it slowly melted away as we connected. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. We stayed there, wrapped in each other's arms, not saying a word, but feeling everything. Jake's voice broke the silence. "I've never felt this calm before," he said, his voice low and sincere. "Being with you, it just makes everything feel worth it." I smiled, resting my head on his chest. "Just being with you makes me feel special," I whispered. We stayed like that, both of us knowing that this was only the beginning of something new. If you've made it this far, I hope this story resonated with you. There's so much more to come, and you won't want to miss what's next. Be sure to hit that follow button, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below. Let's chat about this story. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Your support means the world to me.